What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for being here. I'm really pumped for this conversation with some of my best friends and new friends who just came in. Um, yeah, we're gonna talk NFTs. NFTs are kind of like the fun, like younger baby sibling of crypto, DeFi, and all of that. So
It's the stock market for toddlers.
it's a stock market for toddlers, as Winnie says. I'm gonna moderate this discussion. It'll be super fun. Uh, how long are we gonna go for? Like an hour?
We have the full hour, but however long you'd like to moderate.
Exactly.
I'll moderate this forever.
The floor is yours. As long as you're willing to moderate, we're willing to go.
Hey, if the floor is mine, then you know I'm gonna sweep it. So
That was good.
That was a good one.
yeah, why don't we just do introductions real quick?
Cool.
I'm Marin. How I'm an NFT enjoyer.
I like that. I feel like that was very well said. Very well
Right.
put.
That's all I am in the
Um,
space. I also tend to mark cycle tops. So if I've entered a project, it might be time to consider exiting. But besides that,
No, my name is Bryce. Been in the NFT space since April of this year. I run a guild called Loot Squad, and we buy assets in different play-to-earn games, as well as building platform-based technology for different play-to-earn games in the ecosystems. So yeah, that's what I do. And on this panel with some cool people, learning more about the NFT space, because I still feel like I'm a noob, regardless of how long I've been into it. So awesome.
awesome.
Hi, I'm Winnie. I am a curator of an NFT gallery. I also have my own marketing and consulting firm within the NFT space. On the side, I'm also a full stack dev. I've been in NFT since pretty much like as like an academic since 2019, but like as a buyer since December last year.
And you put my cool cat in that art gallery. It was amazing.
I did.
It was was it a 12th or 13th century cellar in Prague?
So we have this gallery that's opposite the oldest. I don't know if anyone here has been to Prague. The oldest astrological clock. I have an NFT gallery that's in a 12th century cellar opposite the clock, and it's underneath like a regular art gallery. So it's this really old derelict space that we've put 40 screens in, and it's just this really cool combination of combining new technology with what is actually the floor of it is the old original square of the Prague town center. So it's this really beautiful space, and every month it's called Crypto Portal, and every month we do this. Because of obviously with the speed that the NFT space moves, we're doing a new curation every month. So we just use it as a chance to showcase new artists and collections and nepotism by putting my friends in, pump the bags. But it's really, and we do like a little party every month. So if you're ever in Prague, hit me up and come to our little events. It's a good time.
Sounds rare.
Yeah.
Right? What does the NFT scene look like in Prague? Like, considering that you have this beautiful NFT gallery there, like, do you feel like it's helping cultivate more people that are finding the space more interesting and diving in further?
It's actually quite lit in Prague. Like the coolest thing that happened was a couple of months ago was the Lobkowitz family, which is like the Prague noble family, did an event at their castle. They did a gala, and they were using NFTs to restore their heritage collections. So it was this really cool combination of using NFTs to restore heritage assets. So I think that's also just a really great use case for utility and combining the NFT world with the fine arts world. Yeah, but yeah, it's just such a really cool. There's like crypto as well in Prague is just really big. I think it might be a tax thing, but I need to do more research into that.
I mean, one really cool thing about that gallery was you just hit me up and you're like, "Hey, do you want your cool cat in this gallery?" And all I had to do was say yes. And the next day there was a tweet out, and I could just see my cat in the crypto portal
Yeah,
next to all these amazing
we're
other works.
professional
of art.
right-click savers. Yeah,
Right, and I mean, it's cool to kind of think about, right? We always talk about the Mona Lisa as an example of like why you can right click save the Mona Lisa, but it doesn't really mean anything. I mean, compare this to the Mona Lisa. Like, it hasn't moved from the Louvre since the 70s, right? And the last time they tried to move it, it almost had water damage.
Your
And-
cool cat is comparable to the Mona Lisa.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say,
Exactly.
you know. but yeah, but before I forget, just myself, my name's Andrew. Nice to meet all of you. graduated college not a long time ago, and I worked as a writer before entering the NFT space. I came in as a writer. I just thought there was so much good stuff to write about. There were a ton of misconceptions, I think, about the NFT space and about crypto as a whole. And it just felt like this was a space where you could get totally immersed. And when you're seeing things and you're seeing communities be built, artists get lifted up in a way that totally is different from what everybody on the outside was saying, I was just like, I have to totally jump into this. And so it's been a really fun ride since. I would love to ask just real quick, you know, in some ways, crypto, but then NFTs have really upended, right? Or replaced or fixed or improved so many of the social communities that we've had in this world, particularly since COVID, which has just been shit. But you know, it's like when you see those like sci-fi apocalypse movies, you know, you have somebody like you get those flashbacks like before the apocalypse, there were like some like lone like gaming loner or whatever, and then they become a cult leader after the apocalypse or whatever. Like that's basically myself. But I would love to hear I would love to hear from all of you. You know, you said April, right? So what were you doing before, and what was that transition like into NFTs?
Damn, yeah, it's crazy to think about. To be honest, had the pandemic not started, I probably would have never found NFTs. When I started in April, like I didn't even know what a MetaMask wallet was. So like I started trying to like onboard myself into Axie, and I was like, yo, this shit's hard. I gotta get this wallet and then like connect it and make all this stuff work. So like the first week I just put it down because I didn't understand it really. But when I came back to it, I was like, okay, I'm starting to understand where it's like it's super consumable. But before that, I was also a full stack developer and was just working full time and just kind of perusing the internet and just doing whatever I felt like doing, like creating little small apps and stuff. But like as soon as the NFT space kind of like came into my purview, I just jumped into it head first. And now I just tweet way too much. Now it's like 4,000 tweets a month. And there's a huge amount of people in the Philippines that love talking to me about Axie and other NFT games, minus those who get pissed for me not like, you know, pumping their bags.
I myself am one of the people who did not buy Axie but bought SLP. And
Oh, no, that's
yeah,
not good.
yeah, yeah, let's just say I'm too. It's not a loss until you sell. So we're just gonna wait with that one. I got into NFTs because when I entered crypto in 2020, accidentally, I mean, it found me when I tried to open a bank account and found it very inefficient, and then found Bitcoin, and then just like blew up on TikTok, and then suddenly I was talking about like Bitcoin's Venus, and then apparently people don't do that normally, and so it just kind of took off. But I was given like honorary NFTs pretty initially, and so I had to set up a wallet and did not really understand the reality of how important they would be until I had artist friends who got really excited at the thought of getting royalties really consistently and really ethically, like not having someone interfere with that. And as someone who like I'm not as in it for the art, I guess, as other people. Like I look more to the utility and the royalties aspect, especially as a content creator, and seeing how, not that it matters, but like for example, so many views on TikTok, I can't even withdraw the funds ever because of a weird glitch where it's not connecting. Like I can't ever withdraw that, and that would be so solved by a smart contract or something like an NFT that literally makes it so that I don't see all like the TikTok royalties and then inability to withdraw, which doesn't technically matter. But that concept is what initially got me into seeing the side of NFTs, which is not the art itself. I mean, I'll buy some red ones because they're cool, and I want to show them off because I have some pretty cool NFTs. But I think that the long-standing potential for things like real estate or medical contracts and the smart contracts, like literally the rights to the contract side, cool picture on top, that's all fun. But really, what has me interested long-term.
And I'm sorry about SLP. I'm also down, so we can ride the train to hell together.
One day I'll break even. I think maybe it can't go down another 99%. We'll see.
I mean, tax season is upon us, so just, you know.
Right. I knew that.
I hope no one from the IRS is here.
What about you?
Your turn.
Oh, wait, what I was doing before?
Mhm.
So yeah, I pretty much got into NFTs because I had just finished my master's degree, like when I started getting heavily involved, and I was a full stack dev, and like I was a UX UI designer, front end, back end, and I was just like, I'm so bloody underpaid, and I'm really pissed off about it. And then I started just getting into a few like blockchain projects, and I was like, okay, this is fun, getting involved in like crypto Twitter, and that just kind of set me down the rabbit hole, and then just went fully into NFTs. Like my background, I originally was in fashion and then transitioned to like computer science. It makes sense if you know the whole story. But yeah, and that's just kind of how I got into NFTs, because it was this combination of my love of design, love of art, love of fashion, and my love of tech. And I was like, oh my God, this is just the piece de resistance. And it just became my entire life. And now there's no way out.
I love how you said rabbit hole when talking about getting into NFTs. It feels like that's how it is for so many people in the space. I mean, crypto has been around for a long time. And in some ways, I've kind of had that exposure to crypto. I grew up with a dad who was like really strange. He'd like come into my life at weird times with like these weird propositions. I remember back in like 2012, I was going away for high school, like moving, and he comes up to me, he's like, "Happy birthday, son. Like, here's a Bitcoin." And I was like, "The fuck?" Like, all these other kids get like presents and toys and video games, and you just
Still
gave.
have the Bitcoin?
I still have the Bitcoin.
That's dope.
That's like
Well
it's
done.
been the running joke. And the reason I have it is because I never really knew what to do with it, and I thought it was cool. It taught me a lot. But when NFTs came in, it was totally a rabbit hole. It was like I can do so much. There's so many applications being built on top of this. Funny story. A couple weeks ago at Basel, I was at a lunch, and it was this whatever like long table on the beach, and some random people were there, and I was 2 seats down from an artist named Daniel Arsham, and I had a vein popping out of my head the whole time because all I wanted to do was tap him on the shoulder and say, "Hey, when I got into NFTs in July, I used to collect your stuff working part-time in college, and I liquidated all of it to buy my cool cat on day one." And I was like, "Should I say that?" And my friend's like, "Don't say that. He's gonna be upset." But I would say that that's kind of been my story too. I struggled a lot as a writer, as a freelance writer. I was getting to write for really cool places that when you're a kid, you think, "Whoa, like if I write for these places, then my life is set." And I was like, it is not set. The comments are horrible. Nothing happens. People call it the magazine and not who I am as a person or as a writer, as an artist. And then 3 weeks later, like you get $300 in your bank account, and then it's over. On top of that, I had a really bad concussion in the summer. It's super interesting, right? Like we talk about the pandemic. So many of my friends had injuries getting into NFTs. Even in Twitter spaces that I host, like I'll see a pro athlete or an NBA player or an actor there, and I'll be like, "Hey, like, why are they here and not like playing this game?" And I'll just Google them, and it'll be like, "This player's out for COVID protocols," and I'm like, that's why you're here. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey for myself. In some ways, getting to do what I always love to do, which is write. But to really be a part of a community and meet people like this, like real friends, right? Not only do you make money together, but you learn about life, you learn to appreciate art, you just meet really cool people. And so I feel like that's why we're here today.
No, I totally agree. I wanted to ask both of you, since you're so deep into the cool cat scene, what really like made you gravitate towards cool cats out of all the projects you could have aped into?
Cute as fuck.
That is true.
All right, I feel like I have more than 3 words. You guys are gonna get sick of me, but
I do have more, but that is.
Oh, you can
Yeah,
give
yeah.
me more.
So-
I'm down for more.
So I think what's really cool is a lot of times when you enter the NFT space, there's always a certain scene. And if you get lucky, the scene is wholesome, it's good, there are artists, people are innovating, doing new things with utility. You enter at a bad time, it could be a bear market, but it's also a time when maybe everybody's like, can devs do something, right? Like, can you give
All
us
the
more? Can you
projects,
give us
all
more
of them have
value?
entered.
And
It's really bad.
I have
right?
overinvested.
Everyone,
by
By a
literally,
lot.
yes.
So I feel like I entered at a really good time. This was on day one of Cool Cats. Also happened to be my first day jumping into NFTs. I saw this project. I was like, the art is kind of cute and it's kind of good. But I went into the Discord and there was a small channel that nobody really looked at called Origins. And when you looked at Origins, it was about the artist Klon and his story. And he talks about having drawn this for 10 years since he was a teenager, like in class, getting in trouble for doodling on the margins. And you see this art take its shape over time. And you see how, he has these little shows where he gets paid nothing, right? Like in a literal shack, right? Showing off some of his hand-painted works. And he talks about how in 2019, he basically gives up on it He's like, I'm older now. The world is changing. I've tried to change with it, and maybe it's time. So he's like, I gave up on this art basically. And it wasn't until I heard about NFTs that I woke up one day and I looked at my wall and all the drawings that I had, and I realized that I could bring this back. I could have a second chance. And when I saw that, I was like, holy shit, that's the same exact thing I went through in my life. You know, I love to write. People say literature is the process of turning blood into ink. And I was like, goddamn, like I feel that. But at the same time, I can't do anything, or nothing feels right. This industry is horrible. Nobody wants to mentor you. Everybody is disillusioned, and I can't even blame them. And so when I saw this artist's story, I was like, I have to attach myself to that. I took out everything in my bank account. It was like 5 ETH at the time, and I bought the rarest cool cat. And I feel like in some ways that's kind of our mentality in the space. A lot of us just really want second chances. We want to see ourselves as artists. We want to build. We want to get to know really cool people. And honestly, it's made crypto, NFTs, art, and life just a lot more exciting.
Yeah, you're very much like super risky. You remind me of myself because like I did the same thing when I got into Axie, dude. Like I dumped my entire savings and was like, all right, I'm gonna just buy like a Mystic Axie, and
That turned out well. I assume everything into Axie would have been like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It ended up being like a 16K purchase initially, and now
Yeah.
it's worth like 250 grand.
Right.
So it ended up being like my best NFT play
Right,
ever. Everything
right,
else like
right.
plummet.
Yeah.
Granted, I didn't get into cool cats early, so it
Did
also
not get
did.
into them at all. I'm a no catter.
I actually only bought my cool cat like a few days ago. Like I flipped my mutant and bought a cool cat, but it's just like the whole thing for me with cool cats is the community.
Yeah.
Like in Miami, we were staying in the cool cat house and everything, and just being with the team and just realizing their roadmap and what they want to do with it is just amazing. And the people who I've met through the cool cat community is just insane. It's like I love mutants, and I love BAYC and just what they did for the space. But for me, especially like as a female, I did not resonate with the community. And it's like I had my mutant and I was like, I don't like if I can, like it was hard to let go of it, obviously, because it was like that was my grail. And then when I let go and I bought my cool cat, I was like, no, this is where I'm meant to be. It was where I was meant to be. And like I really resonate with that. And I'm cool cats forever. Like I'm never selling this NFT. I don't care.
And that's like the interesting thing is the whole idea that in the NFT space, there can be multiple communities, and you can like be in one, realizing you're not resonating with it, and then go somewhere else where you feel valued. And it doesn't like take away from the Bored Ape Yacht Club community or anything like that for anyone who does enjoy being there more so than the cool cat community. But it's the right to choose and having multiple spaces to kind of gravitate to where you truly feel safe. So I think that's super powerful.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's for me, that is like the end goal with it all, is just being where you're meant to be. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest questions in the NFT space right now, and something that a lot of us are wrestling with, whether we're on the consulting side trying to build out a good project, or we're buying and being a part of it, a lot of us are asking right now. You can see it on Twitter as well. We're saying, why did this have to be an NFT? Why couldn't it have just been digital art that wasn't an NFT? Why wasn't it just physical art that you would try to put in a gallery? Or why did it have to exist? And I think that's an interesting question I would like to tackle. But I think while we're talking about community, I think the flip side of it is, why did this have to be a community? Like when we talk about NFTs, we're always like community, community, community. For people on the outside, it might even seem like overdone a little bit, or maybe like cope in some ways. But I do think it is a really important part of the space. And I think if we're asking, why did this have to be a community, then it means it has to have a reason to exist. And I would just love to hear, like, Marin, from your perspective, the projects you've been a part of, right? What have the communities look like? And for you, Bryce, you're so big in Axie, right? Some people call you an influencer, but when I watch your videos, like, you're so thoughtful and gentle, and you explain things and you bring people together, whether, right in front of us or all the way in the Philippines, right? Like, what does that community look like, and what are its reasons for existing?
Yeah, I have two good examples, I guess, of the both sides of it, because this would have been very early this year. It was right after hash masks came out, and I didn't get it. No, I got one hash mask. I actually I think I flipped it immediately because I saw it was like 0.1% profit I could get, and I was like, oh yeah, like of course. And yeah. And so after hash masks, I think it was around the trend of like the bonding curve rarity, like all the different things like that. And so I tried to buy a bunch of the waifus, waifus. I thought it was so cool. Like I got in early. Of course, I get like all non-rares. No one is buying them. It wasn't even fully minted, and so we didn't get the reveal at first because not everyone had bought the full 10K. So we were like waiting for people to buy them so we could get the reveal. No one was buying them, and there was an uproar in the community. I mean, like people were like, I want to see what I got. Like devs do something. Like no one is buying these. We're not going to get to see what we got. There was apparently nothing in the contract to be like, if it's not bought by this date, like I don't know. I don't understand it, but there was uproar in the community, and apparently I was the only woman in the Discord. So like they're like, Marin, do something. I'm like, excuse me? Like what? I don't know. But someone came in, asked to have a Bernie mechanism. This person was then accused of like ruining the project. It was absolutely insane to see. Devs literally quit the project. The community was left with it. And I saw in the community actually like a solution was made just like and they asked me to write a Medium article. I just wrote it like outlining the solution. I was like, sure, I'll do that. Like least I can do, I guess, is the only person in this, I guess. Yeah. And that was like a really cool thing to see because first NFT project I really got into that was not given to me or I just kind of bought because it was cool. First Discord I was in where I got to see like the dynamics, and it was literally the most extreme, like devs do something, devs being like, the community is terrible, like we're gonna like end the project. And then now it's an entire, like, I don't want to call it an ecosystem necessarily, but it is, they're building upon that, and they changed the name, like it's one component, and it looks like they're building out multiple variations. And they made me like an honorary waifu. It was cute. The least I could do was help write the Medium. And that was like a really good example. I hold my honorary waifu. I do not hold the other ones. I believe I literally sold them for like 0.01 ETH because it was just not, it was a bad investment. Besides that, I got into the Soul Bears community because Solana NFTs, I'm like, okay, I'm loyal to Solana. I'm going to kill it. Like phenomenal. Take out all this soul. I'm going to be supreme NFT flipper. I buy an insane amount of Soul Bear rares, and apparently I don't even understand how this was rugged, but apparently there were a lot of bots or like team itself propping up the price. They pull out like the liquidity and it's worth nothing and no one is buying these. So like I am in a video quote, like I'm showing my purchases. I'm like, this is going to kill it. And then like, absolutely not. It was just really bad. Like the devs leave the Discord. People are like an uproar about this. I thought it was so cool for getting a golden bear, a polar bear. I'm left on my own. Worst community dynamic I've ever seen. I mean, people being like, we're going to sue. Like this is, of course, it's just anonymous. And there had been an entire website made documenting a roadmap upcoming that, of course, does not exist. There was even like a second collection made to like, anyway, both sides of that like showed me the extremes. And I'm still stuck holding my Soul Bears kind of like battle scars if anyone wants to bid. But I think the potential for like I think it just showcases collectively in an interest what can come about of that. And I mean, it was entertaining both ways. Those are my main experiences. Right now, I'm not currently heavily invested in any NFT project. I don't hold a Cool Cat or sadly my honorary Bored Ape anymore. That's another story that I don't, deep regrets, but it's been a wild experience to see both of these instances. But shout out to the waifu people. They're really cool.
Damn, you've had an insane ride there.
To say the least. I mean, I also did accept a 3 ETH bid on my Bored Ape when I was in the hospital delirious this summer, and it was an automated bot, and I'm like, oh sure, 3 ETH. And then the next day I look at it and I'm like Bored Ape people are like, how dare you? I'm like, I'm sorry. I really, really did not mean to accept that. I had a fever. I blame that.
Was this a regular ape or your honorary?
No, this was an honorary Bored Ape. No, literally. I remember looking at it and I'm like, I randomly like somehow, I don't even know. I never get sick, and then suddenly I'm in the hospital with like an insane fever covered in like rashes, and they're like, we don't know what's wrong with you. And so they drug me up, and I'm on my phone. I'm like, 3 ETH bid. Sure, I'll accept this for a random NFT. And then the next day I look at it, and the guy who has my honorary, like I have bid like half my portfolio on this. He will not accept it. I'm like, just like, yeah, RIP. But I hope that it's in good hands. Alas.
I remember the day that Bored Apes came out. I was just sat on my laptop looking at it. I was like, nah, just nah. And then
Yeah.
but the thing is, I'm almost kind of glad that I didn't mint, because I would have noodle handed that so badly.
That's why
And that would
technically
have been a bigger regret for me to buy it and noodle
Right.
hand it than to not even mint it at all.
that's why technically it's like, well, at least I got like, I think it was like like ethos. I got like 10K at the time. Like at least it's better than like holding it for life and maybe not getting anything. Like I don't think honorary, I don't know. But at least I'm like, okay, you got a little bit out of it. So regrets, but not like total regrets.
Yeah, I honestly I wasn't really a big fan of them because I didn't think they looked like cool as a profile pic. Like
The artist was supposed to be here for this panel today.
That's why I'm up
We're-
here
that's why we're
as an
going in.
NFT enjoyer and top signal instead of the actual artist. But happy to be here, Philip.
no, I had so many Axie friends that like got the apes and like they're doing it incredibly well. I just for myself, like I wasn't going to buy one, so I never looked at it and was like, oh damn it, you missed. I was like, nah, it wasn't for you. You weren't gonna. You
And
weren't gonna
I
get
remember around this time that I accidentally sold my I very strangely sold my honorary Bored Ape. I bought 16 crypto dick butts from a friend who was offloading them, and I was like, sure, like I'm so down bad, I'll give you 1 ETH for 16. Those ended up being bid by like 3AC in October. Like they were bidding them up. I don't know if there's utility to them, but like I suddenly am like getting 1 ETH bids on each of my 17 crypto dick butts. That day, I had a down payment due for a property that I was going to be OTCing crypto for. So legitimately, the OTC guy goes, there's a lot of OpenSea transactions that you're funding this with. I go, yeah, 17 crypto dick butts. And then that night, CNBC contacted me to talk about my crypto dick butt flip to buy a property in Dubai. So that actually, now that I think about it, was like, I don't know the community behind the crypto dick butt space. I don't know if there is a community, but like, thank you. Like that was my best flip. And then the guy, of course, who flipped them to me is like, Jesus Christ. Like, that's insane. But
That's so wild.
the victory.
I love how much pumping of the crypto dick butts happened in Miami. It was just Andrew.
We had a feeling. We had a feeling the crypto dick butts would pump at Basel because we knew there would be some degeneracy going on, and we knew that the crypto dick butts would go with it.
What's the
I
floor?
remember-
Over 1 ETH.
I think it's back down to like 0.5, 0.6.
Okay, good.
But it had its moment. I remember I was at a lunch where I was with like Farouk, Seed Phrase, and a bunch of others, and they took out their crypto dick butts and threw their phones on the table and just waited. And that was the most expensive lunch I'd ever been to
That's
because I had to drop $3,000 in ETH on a crypto dick butt just to throw my phone in. Or like you would be at these clubs and people would just be taking out their crypto dick butts and showing it to all the normie audience.
Video of you doing that.
People think I'm
So I'm a
cringe.
part of it too.
Yeah,
I-
that's wild.
That's
Here's the worst thing, and I want to get back to Bryce to ask about the Axie community. So when we were in Wynwood at Basel, you know, there's a ton of there's a ton of graffiti art, a lot of art on the streets, and it's a really, really beautiful thing. I was going around the neighborhood with artists, and they were, you know, graffitiing stuff, and they're like, Andrew, like you should do it too. I was like, nah, like I'm not really like an artist. And then we get like a little bit more drunk. So I'm like, all right, it's time. Somebody give me a pen. So I like go over, I find the first wall I can, and I just draw my crypto dick butt on it. And I was like, let's go. Like I'm like bringing art to the city. And like we get in the Uber and they're like, yo, just so you know, like, you know, that was like a mom and pop pizzeria, right? And I was like, no. And it's like we have to go back, and we went to look for it and I couldn't find it. And so there's just a dick butt there. And like, gosh, like to those owners, like I'm so sorry. I'm
For
sorry.
what it's worth, when I saw them, I thought they looked a little bit like dragons. I did not get the appearance there was anything like phallic about them at all. Like I thought it was a dragon, just like pixelated. So like I didn't feel weird seeing a guy see that I paid for a property with those images. It's like a dragon. I don't know.
It's amazing. Okay. Enough of the crypto dick butts. Axie in the community. You know, what's that like, and how would you compare it to the NFT space as a whole?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think initially there was a bit of a kind of an intersection. So like you have Axie and I think the like NFT gaming scene, and then you have like the traditional NFT world. Now I feel like the lines are starting to blur a bit more and merge a little bit more. But I think the powerful side of like Axie was like, to me, it was just the true introduction of like decentralized finance for myself. Like I hadn't used any swapping protocols beforehand. I had never staked anything. I hadn't provided liquidity. And it's like all of these ecosystems, like now they call it GameFi, which came to me like unknowingly recently. But I think like Axie really brought a lot of the financial tools to people in developing nations who didn't have them. So now they're learning about crypto and DeFi more than they are actually about traditional banking and things. So it's like, it's really changing the world in terms of how people go about shaping their life and their finances in a lot of these countries in Asia. And I think it's going to, like, as it expands, and not just Axie, other NFT games, I think as they expand and continue to grow and cultivate, you'll see a world where DeFi eventually replaces like traditional banking, even here in the United States. I think like long term, we will see a world where like interest rates and savings and all of these different things on the blockchain just continually outperform, traditional banking, to the point to where even mainstream audience, like my parents one day, they were telling me, "Oh, how do you do this to make all this money?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm earning 100% interest over here doing X, Y, and Z." And she's like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you should let me do some of this with your money and show you how to do it." And now she's like diving in, and she's like, "Oh, can you stake some more AXS for me so I can earn 100% interest?" I'm like, "Yeah, like this is so weird that you're actually interested in like risking X amount of dollars to see if you can earn just through like staking mechanisms in a decentralized way." I thought, I was the only degen in the family, but yeah, it's cool to see kind of how it's shaping generations and changing the way we go about finance. So I think from a community aspect, a lot of it is based on, the whole play to earn aspect and being able to like really like fund your life. But ultimately, I think the stability for the NFT gaming market will come as more games enter and more utility for these different projects kind of comes to light in a more financial way. Like in the future, I'd love to be able to buy house just based off of like yield that I'm earning in these different games from NFT asset lending and using that as collateral. Like I think that's something that could potentially happen. But who knows? Everything's still young.
Yeah, I mean, one thing you mentioned, and you talked about DeFi, and this is a DeFi conference, and I think it's a good time in mid to late December for us to be talking a lot about NFTs at a DeFi conference. Like you said, I think during the summer when I entered into the NFT space, I knew nothing about DeFi at all. And there was a sense in which that was totally okay because there were very few DeFi elements in the NFT space at the time. And I think now what we see with new projects coming out, such as Wolf Game, we see a lot of more, you can stake your NFTs a lot more now. There are things kind of similar to yield farming. And it was like whether you like it or not, if you're in the NFT space, you're going to start learning about DeFi. And in the right place at the right time, it could be applied in a meaningful way. And so I want to ask, like, is this a debate right now? Is the intersection of NFTs with DeFi something that we fully embrace, or is there a value in keeping certain parts of NFTs like separate, right? Like, does every artist want their work to be staked, to be part of a gaming ecosystem? I would love to know like where the four of us stand on this.
I think NFT, like a lot of people in NFTs are not in DeFi. And I think that NFTs are like the gateway to DeFi. So people are like, we're getting all this ETH, it's mostly like ETH and Solana and Tezos and whatnot. It's a really great, you've got them already past the first step, the hardest step. You've got their wallet set up. You've got them involved in the ecosystem. The next thing I find for DeFi, there just needs to be that onboarding process just transitioned easier. And I think staking NFTs are the gateway to it. So I think that's the next step for the NFT people. And like, yeah, I think that's where the DeFi company should be targeting is NFT users because they're the easiest to onboard. Like that's just how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the basis for both being a contract, whether or not it has a cute picture behind it, like maybe it's just noob. And I don't see an issue or a downside. I think it's cool. So that's, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely on the same page with you guys. I think that more people will be onboarded into DeFi through NFTs than like any other traditional way of onboarding them. Like if you would have just told me to go to Curve Finance and be like, yo, jump on this and like do something, I'd be like, look kind of rough. Don't really know what I'm doing. I'm okay. But one thing that I really want to get you guys' thoughts on is like in this space where we're starting to see a lot of these NFT projects like create their own tokens behind their communities and things of that sort. Do you think this could be a good or a bad thing? Like, because I mean, a lot of them, I feel like a lot of tokens that are being created right now, it's kind of potentially reminiscent to like the 2017 like ICO, So I'd love to get you guys' thoughts on that.
I used to be someone who I was like, if there's a token and there's no utility, like scam, I'm worried. Now I'm just like tokenize everything. Like just give it a token,
Just
let the market exist. I feel like just let psychology show itself for a community and for a space within like a market. Like I would rather look at a chart to see, for example, the token of an NFT project rather than try to go into a Discord and like gauge sentiment. Like I'd rather just see that. I guess it's in the vein of social tokens. But I just say tokenize everything, like just get it over with because we know
I'm on the same page as you. It's like, let's just see where it goes. Let's try it. And if it fails, it fails. It's also just quite fun. Yeah.
I mean, for myself, in terms of all these NFT projects releasing tokens, we need to play like historian a little bit, right? There was a time when this was super, super novel. Like a project could announce a token and the floor would just get absolutely obliterated. And now in some way it's like, well, if you don't have a token, like, all right, then you're definitely taking a different path. Or some people might even be like, can devs do something? Like we need a token and we need it now. I think it's interesting to see kind of the wide range of them. This is a culture that runs a lot on memes, right? And inside knowledge, right? Culture, community. So when I saw things like the GM token just explode, I was like, I'm not touching that. I like give me a 10-foot pole to stay away from that. But then when I think about again like shilling cool cats, right, and how their token, right, milk is part of a broader kind of Pokemon style, Neopet style ecosystem where you can buy a house like Animal Crossing and like decorate it with cool shit, right? Or you could have pets and companions and have a more immersive embedded experience within this game. I'm like, okay, like seems like there's something there, and it seems that this is intentional. So it definitely is a wide range, but I definitely attach myself more to tokens that I can understand. Beyond it being like a meme or a joke or even pure novelty. We're almost at a point where the novelty of a token doesn't matter so much. And you think you go back to what Brantley Milligan from ENS said. He said, you were not airdrop free money with the ENS token, you were airdrop responsibility. And I think when people can handle that responsibility, and as a group, you're like, hey, let's do something with this, or let's make this meaningful. Well, then I feel a lot better about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's and also like from the space of tokens and NFTs, I feel like you could buy as many NFTs as you want, but you're only going to leverage or use a certain amount of them. Like for example, when you're cool cats till you die at this point. Like like that is who you are. That's who you're basing yourself around, and it's awesome to see that. So it's like having like maybe 10, 20, 30 profile pics doesn't really do as much other than like from a collecting standpoint. But what are your thoughts on that?
I'm literally just in it for the culture. Like for me, it's like I come from an art background, I just think genuinely I buy stuff because I think it looks nice. And if it flops, I'm okay. I'm so okay with that. Like I've bought some super random projects and I'm just like, yeah, I'm in it for the art. And like, this is the art. And it's like, I don't know, it's a Pepe meme. And I'm like, I love this. I'm here for it. But for me, it's just at this point, it's just like, I'm so deep that it's just, I have my community. Obviously I've got my company and I've got like a great team, and just everything for me is it's literally about the culture, and I'm here for it. There's no other way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with my side of it and not as much being in it like for the art, but like the potential of where it could go, I'm more interested in seeing like what could I potentially be like an early stage investor in that's more of a utility based project rather than holding the art itself. It's why as a non-gamer, I actually am interested in like long-standing play to earn games that involve NFTs, because I think that I see the potential for that to be a bit more anti-fragile in a bear market if there's normies playing that who are not necessarily like trading a chart. Like I think that'll give it some stability. So I'm really looking to the utility, and I similarly now only if I really see a project I like, sometimes randomly on Solana, there's cool things. Like I just buy it because I like it. Like there's absolutely no way I'm going to buy a project and have that somehow like that. No, that's a signal, probably exit all markets, but like I'll hold it and I like it. So similarly, I am buying things that I like if I see them. because I think that I'm honestly more interested in like the royalties and the technical side, not showing it off myself. But I think play to earn games and things that like where you can stake your NFTs, that's what really excites me, so that there can be fun in teaching those who might not otherwise be interested in like DeFi or finance, can incorporate them in.
Yeah, just a kind of quick thought on that. I feel like I'm kind of on Winnie's side here with trying to do it for the culture. And when we talk about the culture, like it's important because this is a culture that's still being formed in real time, right? Like it's a culture that's constantly shifting, right? You can have Adidas and Nike enter the NFT market in the past week. And on one hand, it's like really cool and it's decentralized. On the other hand, you know, you have a ton of capital sucked out like basically instantly. And you're like, okay, there's questions of like legitimacy across questions of, you know, institutions and big brands versus this kind of grassroots thing that in some ways the NFT community started out as. And I think it, you know, when we talk about culture, it is interesting to think about how utility plays into it. For me, I'm always asking, is adding more utility advancing the culture? Or in some ways, is it, you know, making it more monolithic, right? I've been having this discussion with a few artist friends, and they've been a little bit hung up about utility. You think about it as an artist, sometimes you know how they are. They're really sensitive about their art. They're like, it's about the art, man. Like check out my thing. But one of them brought up a really good point, which is that when we think about projects adding utility, if it's really for the long term, it has to be on top of something that's already valuable. You can't build utility on top of shit, because you can't say this thing is valuable because of the utility, but then it otherwise wouldn't be valuable. And if that's the case, then at some point things will kind of fall apart. And I think it was a really interesting point. And we got to this idea at the end that was, again, about responsibility. Like, what's really cool about NFTs to me is when you own something, you kind of have a responsibility to it all of a sudden. And you could take it any way you want. I mean, pumping your bags is a form of responsibility. It's taking responsibility for what you own and being public about it. And then there's the other side, which is like, all right, I want to go on this journey with the artist and see how we grow. That's a kind of responsibility. I want to think about how it teaches me more about the crypto space, the art space, and how I fit in, how this changes my life. That's responsibility. And I think, I don't know, in my view, like using that responsibility well is what advances the culture forward at a time when so many things are up in the air and so many things can change.
I completely agree. But like, on a professional level, I am a consultant. I have a consulting and marketing firm within NFTs. So I genuinely take on that responsibility every day. And I have had conflictions within my work. Like, I don't like the projects that we're working with, or like, I don't believe in it. And like, I find it, I'm fully transparent on my Twitter, like who I'm working with. And it can get really emotional for like me ethically having to promote projects that I might not agree with. Like, to be fair, I love all the projects that we work with, but we've considered onboarding clients that I'm like, I physically can't pump these. I have this responsibility. Like on my personal, like I pump Cool Cats, but that's just because I love them. I love the team. I don't work for them, but like other projects, I'm paid to consult and to market them. But yeah, I completely agree. There is such a line and a responsibility with it that it's stressful. It is.
That's why I've been like, when I'm like given NFTs or anything, or even have them, it feels very like I don't feel comfortable promoting or mentioning that I own them usually, even if I like them, because like the last time I did that was Soul Bears, and oh my god, like that, so many people. Oh my, I felt so, not that it was my responsibility, but I was like, yo, let's buy an NFT together, and I'm like, so much Solana, let's do this, and then like Rug, I'm like, oh my god. So that's been also difficult, and also because I don't, since like Solana, I haven't felt comfortable promoting anything because I don't honestly use it. And so I think that with NFTs, it's really awesome to see people who, like, unlike us necessarily, like have a lot of consideration behind it. Like just normal people, like when you see them promoting things in the community, that's what looks great to me, is like the normal people who get really into a project or a game or an NFT space, and you're like, that's when it looks legit and awesome and wholesome. That's what, speaks to me about a certain space.
Yeah, and I can definitely resonate with you in terms of like the whole potential having to deal with something being rugged. Oh my goodness,
I
they're
just
like,
won't talk about it. I don't care if it's cool. I literally cannot anymore. I'm sorry.
yeah, I run into that same issue. There will be games that'll reach out, and sometimes like I'll have conversations with them, and now I'll have like one of my good friends. We hired him as like my head of partnerships, and he does like a lot of the sourcing. One game we got on a call with, and we were asking them about the roadmap, and they weren't even like asking for anything ridiculous. They were literally trying to pay me like 3 ETH to just talk about them for 20 seconds on my Twitch stream. And because they were going to do a mint for their game, and we were asking about the roadmap, and the guy was like, this, I think the question was, so what is like your 6-month plan after you guys finish your mint? And then he was like, well, after that point we want to like release the game. And he was like, but what's the game? And he couldn't even give us like an answer. It's like
So many of those.
so many
honestly,
projects
so
are like
many
that.
of those.
Yeah.
It's my inbox is like, please $50 for a promo, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm like, excuse me, like, yeah. Literally, and it's like there'll be like a not even a good. It'll be like a blurred JPEG of. I mean, I like that's why when I see like I'm at something like this and I meet like really cool projects, I'm like astounded because my inbox. Oh my god! Like I'm like I can't do this. $50 for insane.
And like the crazy thing is, it only takes like promoting one bad project, and it's like you lose all the credibility that you've like built for like the last year and a half in the space.
It's like you can't tempt me. Like I'm scarred from soul bears because I had people be like, my life savings is in this bear. I'm like, Jesus
Oh, no,
Christ.
yeah.
I'm like, it's not my fault, but like, oh God.
Yeah.
So you learn. I'm still up in the air. Like, cool project. You could convert me. I'm sure.
What about you, Andrew? Do you often run into people reaching out now since you've blown up pretty hard?
So this is like a running joke amongst my friends now. I mean, you talked about being offered 3 ETH. Somebody was in my DM request the other day, and his username was Topher Toes, and he said, "Guys with nice feet are fucking rare," and he offered me 2 ETH for my feet pics.
I don't get
and
any
he was like,
offers.
"What's up?"
I don't get any offers.
I was getting those offers, and I was like, and I was
Monetize
like, do I know who you are? And he was like, like I'm a well-known, well-respected member of the community, but I can't let you know who I am. So now I'm just paranoid. I'm totally paranoid everywhere I go.
It was me.
Totally paranoid. And it was like, and he was like no one will know. Like you just send it. And I was like, look, if people check my Ether scan and they see a random 2 ETH transaction, I'm finished. I'm absolutely finished. And this guy tries to get me.
I'm just gonna send you 2 ETH for the culture.
No, too, like that's easy. That's I don't know. I do it.
When I was at NFT NYC, I was at the Creature World party where my friend Danny Cole built a kind of like inflatable racetrack of his Creature World, and I like mangled my ankle on it, and it swelled up like an elephant the next day. And I tweeted, I was like, "Yo, like I hurt my foot at Creature World. It's like so swollen right now." And somebody commented like, "Oh no, are you okay? Like show us. Like I hope you get better soon." And I was about to like show them, and I was like, "Wait." I check his account and I see who his mutuals are, and it's fucking Topher Toes.
Oh my god.
No, I'm messing around, but I really like what you said about reputation. I feel like one of the truths here is that because so much of the crypto space can be anonymous or pseudonymous, I think that's how you say it. In some ways, like you could take these things on, and there is a chance you could get away with it. Of course, like if you try to get away with it, and because we have the blockchain and you get caught for it, like it could be severe. But I think one thing I really appreciate about the space is not all, but a good amount of people really keep that integrity. Who are like, look, I see this as a long-term thing. So I'm not just going to promote a project just to get my own bag and then dip. Because one, that wouldn't be good for me long-term. But two, if I really want to build something lasting, if I want to change a culture where artists and creators actually get paid, where it's fun to collect, you can be yourself, right? You can move culture, gaming, fashion forward. You could spotlight people who have lived their lives on the margins. With Axie, I always think about how it's like families in the Philippines can like send their kids to college
That's so cool.
during the
Yeah.
pandemic when nobody could do shit. Like you could do Axie. When we have that long-term vision, I really think the space is at its best.
Yeah. Yeah. No, just yes.
All I'm gonna say is I'm gonna start looking for your Ether address just to see if any 2 ETH transactions come across. But yeah, in the Philippines, dude, they are. We've had Axie scholars. One guy bought a moped. One guy recently, I think he bought like a $4,000 refrigerator just off of like Axie earnings in our guild. So it's been insane to see. And some of them, dude, they're taking their money and they're minting like NFTs like consistently. Another one of our scholars, he minted in a game called 9 Heroes, and he got an NFT in that game that's worth like 150 SOL. And this is someone who, he just started off, he didn't have any money. He was just a scholar. He just, just hopping into the games that I like tell them to jump into alongside me. And they're like, oh yeah, I minted this and got like the rarest thing. And I'm like, damn, can I have some luck sometimes? I never mint anything cool.
Yeah,
Awesome, guys. I hate to interrupt, but I just wanted to give you guys just a time check because Marin's she's emceeing, but actually it's not a panel now. It's a great conversation, but we do have to move on to the next panel soon.
Can I ask a final question?
Please.
This is a question from Richard Chan from Manifold, and he wants to know if you could simultaneously beam one image into the brains of every person on Earth, what image would that be? One image. Like, is it Axie? Is it like your face? Is it your feet? What is it?
It's probably Steph Curry. I'm a really big Steph Curry fan, and I take life like as if I'm just taking like deep 3-point shots, risks left and right. So yeah, it'd probably be like Steph Curry's face after he hits a 3-pointer or something.
This is so depressing, but I have to just say the one that came to mind because like you might be into Steph Curry. I'm actually like throughout my life in a weird way. Some people think it's like past life things. I've been really into war and like studying that. Yeah, especially World War II and the opening scene that like plays in the back of my mind a lot of the time. Actually, I don't know if this is problematic. Is the opening scene for Saving Private Ryan. So like if I don't know, like that's what came to mind. And I can't like it's my soul bears. It's not. That's like the opening image. Yeah.
I think mine would be the response to that, which is my cat, which is the shocked face. Just yeah.
Myself. It's actually funny when I asked people that question, he said it would be 2 people hugging. And I was like, that's way more wholesome than I expected. I think I would want to beam an image of me and Winnie and anybody else who wants to join screaming, "Let's go," into your faces. So I feel like it's a good way to end this panel. It is kind of like one of the things we say in the NFT space. So without further ado, let's go! Okay, thank you.